From the land of lakes, this is 10,000 Takes. Brought to you by Minnesota Score Radio. Wally and Eric back for yet another week as we slice and dice the always busy, always topical, super saturated Minnesota sports scene. And Wally, once again, we've got this collision of sports. You've got MLS, WNBA, MLB. Now the NFL, Bigfoot, is up and running, so we will start with the Minnesota Vikings. At the time of this recording, 1-0 in the preseason after a 20-10 win over Houston. Hard to grab any real takeaways from a counterfeit football game.
Yes.
But I'll start with this. Okay. Obviously, J.J. McCarthy, limited action.
Yep.
I thought he was efficient. I wish he would have played more, and I hope he does against New England on Saturday, but it's unlikely. This battle for QB3. Max Brosmer and Brett Rippon.
Should we care?
Oh, you better care.
Why?
They go down like dominoes in the NFL.
I suppose.
You already seen all the injuries through, 1 week? I mean, the Vikings lost Rondale Moore. Unfortunate. They lost an offensive lineman. And I've seen others around the league going down.
Yeah, I guess I'm more interested to see the progression or what we have in QB2 in Sam Howell. Can he serve as the Minnesota Vikings backup quarterback should something happen to J.J. McCarthy? Or if J.J. McCarthy lays an egg? I mean, we really don't know. You know, it's kind of like the Sam Darnold thing last year. We really don't know what we've got. In this case, I think there's even more question marks because he hasn't played in the NFL before. He had a half of football last year in a preseason game. As you mentioned, minimal action in game 1 against Houston. And, you know, Lord only knows how much time he's going to see before the feathers start flying in Chicago on, September 8th. They got Monday Night Football in Chicago. So I'm more concerned now about what we can see out of Howell because, look, I don't know that there's a lot of confidence there. I mean, he has not performed well, according to reports, in training camp thus far.
I thought he looked good against Houston. I think he was
11
of 14
13
for 100-plus yards, and he did have a running touchdown. He's athletic. That's one good thing, especially if you're a quarterback in 2025. You can't be a statue back in the pocket like back in the day. But you're exactly right. They have to see more of him. Are they comfortable with him being QB2? Because in this NFL, we watch week to week, QB2s quickly turn into QB1s, either because the quarterback is in a slump or the guy gets hurt. You certainly don't wish that on anybody, but it's reality. And then I think QB3, Max Brosmer, Brett Rippon, that's important.
Yeah. Well, and I think the other thing is, let's take this in a measured sense with regard to how they performed in this first preseason game. Because, look, the defenses they're seeing, they're not the convoluted things that Brian Flores throws at them during practice. They're kind of vanilla. Defenses they're not giving away their secrets, so to speak, during the preseason against Houston and against New England and against Tennessee. I don't think you're going to see those complex defenses. I think you're going to see a lot of, straight man up and some simple zone coverages.
Nobody's tipping their hand in the preseason. I mean, the Vikings this week had the 2 joint sessions with the Patriots, the game on Saturday. You might get more out of the joint practices than you do in the actual game. I know if you're a backup and you're trying to make the roster, this is your Super Bowl. Yeah. I get that. And now with the loss of Jordan Addison for 3 weeks because of the DUI suspension, Rondale Moore going down, they're getting a little thin at the wideout position. So they have to find out who's going to be able to step up and assume that role. And punt return, hey, it's still huge in the NFL. They haven't messed that up like they have the kickoff return, which has just become a boondoggle. Landing zone. Mike, just say we're not going to have it. I mean,
dynamic kickoff, landing zone.
If Roger Goodell was the commissioner back in the Pete Rozelle era, and I don't think he can carry Pete Rozelle's computer, we wouldn't have had Gale Sayers. And then we wouldn't have had guys like Billy White Shoes Johnson and then Devin Hester and those guys, you don't see them as much these days. They don't want to see them for whatever reason.
No, I mean, I get the collision thing. They moved all the linemen close together. What about the
wait a minute? It's a collision sport.
Oh, that's true. Never mind. Speaking of collision, I am told that it was extremely noisy inside U.S. Bank Stadium for that preseason tilt, and I'll tell you, I don't know, man. I have a hard time sitting in the front row of the press box because it's so loud. So I can't imagine what it's like inside the stadium. I have to move back. I just do, because my ears are just ringing when I come out of the building.
Well, that's a great point. I mean, the Minnesota Vikings have been good to me over the years. They give me that front row seat, but I have to do these updates for Odyssey and Sirius XM during the game. I got to move back to row 3 to just mute the noise a bit, but it's still really hard to be on the phone, hear somebody from New York telling you you're on the air.
But the fans, do they really need to blow the fans out of their seats? That's my point here.
It's going to be loud just because it's a dome.
About you.
Well, I know you don't, but it's naturally loud because it's a dome. But it's artificially enhanced. They pump up the PA guy, Alan Roach, to extremely high decibels, and then they have the loudest, anything you show on the video board, whether it's a promotion or something, is extremely loud. They just jack it up. They don't need to do it.
The good news is you got those fake snowflakes that come down to make you feel like you're back in the 70s and you're sitting outside at Met Stadium. Is that how it makes you feel?
I love it. It's just the frozen tundra, baby, and all that good stuff. No, the Minnesota Vikings, look, stay in your lane. You're now an indoor team. You have been for decades. Don't try to tell us that you're a little bit of both. You are not. You're a dome team.
Yeah, well, the purple sheep seem to believe it, though. They eat that stuff up, or so to speak, because we don't know what the fans think. They just show up no matter what.
Yeah, they basically do. And, I blame the Houston Astrodome for starting this indoor craze back in the late 1960s. But in the modern era, I blame the House of Noise, U.S. Bank Stadium, for taking us to another level, because everyone now wants to copy what Minneapolis has. Chicago wants it. Inglewood got it. Las Vegas got it. They're going to get it in Jacksonville. They're going to get it in Nashville. And can you believe they might get an indoor playpen in that tough guy city known as Philadelphia? Goodbye, Eagle mystique, if that happens.
Well, they're going to get it in Cleveland, too.
Yeah, and Cleveland.
I don't know that there's any mystique left in Cleveland. They haven't played very good football.
A lot of mistakes, not much mystique.
Yeah, a lot of mistakes, not much mystique. And I'm not sure what that mystique means anymore, but they're moving indoors too, so whatever. All right, we need to take a break. We're going to talk some baseball. We're going to revisit the baseball scene with Al Newman.
He's on deck. We are 10K Takes, your dome ticket.
Seeing clearly matters. Being seen matters more. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
Life moves pretty fast, but not at Freddy's. When that first bite hits, you can't help but slow down. The secret to quality time is just quality and time. That's Freddy's.
Mom, what's wrong with them?
That's called quality time. Don't stare.
Stop by any one of Freddy's 6 Minnesota locations.
We are Minnesota Scores 10,000 Takes, and we are in the midst of the dog days of summer as far as baseball is concerned. I don't know if you're a Twins backer. Is there much to look forward to? I guess you try and figure out some of these young guys if they're going to contribute, and I guess they play spoiler down the stretch, right?
I guess if you're a Twins fan, you hope these last 7 weeks go by in dog years. In other words, very quickly.
Yeah, very quickly. All right, well, speaking of quick, this guy was pretty quick on the baseball field, Al Newman, back in the day on the 87 and 91 World Series teams. Al, your thoughts, now if you had some time to reflect on the unloading of the 10 major leaguers, the retooling with the young guys, and what you think this all means for this organization at this point in time.
Well, guys, thanks for having me on again. I tell you what, it did take about this much time for me to digest it, because it was a kick in the gut. I mean, not that I thought the Twins were going to contend for a World Series title or anything, but just to dump, 9, 10, 11 players within a 2 or 3 day span. It was just something hard to even conceive. But, as we talked early in the season that, when they announced that they were cutting payroll by $30 million, going into the season, you knew if they weren't running away with the division, something was going to happen just because the team's up for sale.
All right, Al. So the Twins gutted the team, and it was, a historic fire sale. But I want to talk about one positive thing, and he was here before all of those deals were made, but injured. Luke Keyshaw. Now, small sample size, but he looks like he has that it factor. I love his energy. I'm sure the fans love him, especially the females, and he brings it on the field. Now, will the Twins keep him big picture, or will this just be another guy who 3-4 years down the road is dealt away? But I like Luke Keyshaw.
Well, he reminds everybody of Bader. I mean, Bader just left. He was the pretty boy, had a good year. We traded him off. And now you bring up this young man, and now he's the new darling. He is a good-looking fella, and he's got some athletic ability. But, for me, it's like, what direction are we going in? Because when you dump that many players, yes, he was player of the week, but where does he truly fit in when you got guys like Larnack and Wallner that are supposed to be your up-and-coming guys? So, yes, you're right. Good player, exciting. But I don't know what the Twins are going to do.
Yeah, and I think, Al, if you look at the starting rotation potentially for next year, if Pablo Lopez is back and they keep him and he's healthy, if they bring Joe Ryan back and they keep him and they don't trade him away, along with Ober and perhaps Simeon Woods Richardson or Festa or a combination of, these guys, the rotation wasn't really affected during this trade-off, if you will, sell-off, fire sale. But that bullpen is the part that got ravaged. And supposedly it's easier to put together a bullpen than it is to put together a starting rotation or other positions. Do you believe that, A? And B, do you see anybody in this young group that they have now that, potentially could turn out to be a closer or back-end relief?
Well, Wally, I think the pitching part of it, you're exactly right. I mean, they do have 3-4 capable starters that could give them 5 or 6 innings, and then the bullpen in a perfect world only has to cover 3 innings on any particular night, hopefully not 2 or 3 nights in a row, because these guys, Ober and Ryan, are veterans now and can go maybe 6 or 7 innings. But in all honesty, I'm more concerned about the position players than I am the pitching. We need to have some of these players step up and be more everyday type players. And I know Rocco in the front office likes to do the mix and match, but when are we going to find players that are everyday type players like most of the, really solid teams? They have a 4 or 5 core group that's going to be in their everyday lineup. So I think the pitching, they fell off a little bit from last year, but we just got rid of the whole bullpen. So hopefully these older starters next year can come in and hold their own.
Al, if I'm the new owner coming in, to me, this is not rocket science. First of all, I think the Twin Cities market, it's a sleeping giant. You played on 2 teams that won World Series. You played in front of 3 million fans one season at the Metrodome, one of the worst baseball venues in the history of mankind.
Hey, now, come on.
Sorry about that, Al. Sorry. But my point is, people showed up to the Metrodome. You guys were winning. But if this new owner comes in, cuts beer prices by $3 and Pepsi prices, and then says he's going to spend more money, not Mets-like or Dodgers-like, but increase payroll, maybe hit the reset button and get a manager and a GM in here who believe in old school baseball, not computer analytics. This thing can turn quickly because the AL Central is not a juggernaut division. You agree?
Yeah, you're correct with that assessment. I do agree with you, Eric. The Twins aren't far away. I think if they get back to just playing fundamentally sound baseball, hell, what's wrong with butting a runner over? I mean, you're watching other teams like Houston and Cleveland and some of these teams that utilize more speed. Let's go right across the border to Milwaukee. They're 30 games over, and they're playing small ball because they have to. That's the way the Twins played, and I don't want to go back to the past, but I'm talking about let's just play clean baseball. You know, the game of baseball that people recognize under the new rules. You know, we're not using the talent that we have. We don't have those type of banger players that can bash the ball over the fence. We try to, but we give up too much on the backside as far as creating offense. So I don't think we're that far away. I think the new owners, they can create some excitement. And you know what, guys? I didn't want to not mention this tonight, but I was fortunate enough to come along when the Pohlads kind of first bought the team, their first 5 or 6 years, and they hired the Andy McPhail and the Tom Kellys and the Bob Gephardts, and we were young. Same thing the Twins are doing now. Let's just hope that, you know, the Pohlads, we did win 2 World Series. We can't take that away. The other years have not been so good, and we became a little more judgmental. But they did bring a championship, and I just want to commend them for that.
Al, you're saying not far away. Are we 2 years away, you think? 3 before they start competing for a playoff, possibly
well, you know, here's my thing, Wally. We're not far away, but those guys are closer to arbitration and free agency than the Twins are being contenders again, because you have to realize that you have these pitchers and you've got to sign them and keep them. You know, that's just been our juggernaut. You have to get owners that want to keep the assets that we grew here in Minnesota. So I'll say 3 or 4 years, depending on if they decide to keep Ryan and Lopez and Ober, you know, guys like that. So there's some decisions to be made. And again, we can't spend somebody else's money. We can only suggest what's needed here for the Twins.
Yeah, and I don't want to harp continually on money. We've seen teams like the LA Angels, New York Mets, you know, throw piles of cash at guys, and it doesn't necessarily pan out. But this is big boy baseball, Al. You've got to have a payroll that at least gets $150 million, $200 million in that range these days, at least in my opinion. And you also want to create a scenario where guys want to come here and believe ownership's committed to winning. Do you think anyone in that room believes the Twins are all in right now?
No, we're kind of the laughing stock right now. To be honest with you, I know. I mean, let's just keep it real. When you throw away 10 players and kick them to the curb, and your payroll is less than $15 million, you know, what can you say about that? That's hard to look past around the industry. But you know, I think that the coaches are going to give their effort each and every day. I'm sure Rocco's trying to manage to win. But I'm sure behind closed doors, they're talking about how their hands are behind their backs.
Yeah. Well, it's, I guess, wait and see. You got a bunch of young guys that are playing right now. You got a bunch of new young guys that are sent to the minors. I think you're right. I think we're at least 3 years, if not 4 years away from possibly celebrating a playoff appearance, let alone a playoff run.
Look at the price.
It can happen, fellas. It can happen quicker.
It can happen.
It's just a matter of making the right decisions.
I'm glad James Outman is getting his service time after starting for the LA Dodgers for a while in St. Paul.
Thanks, Al.
See you, Al.
Appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you. Bye.
All right, he is Al Newman, the former Minnesota Twin. He won World Series titles with the Twin in 87 and 91. Back with more here on 10,000 Takes after this. Stay with us.
Life moves pretty fast, but not at Freddy's. When that first bite hits, you can't help but slow down. The secret to quality time is just quality and time. That's Freddy's.
Mom, what's wrong with them?
That's called quality time. Don't stare.
Stop by any one of Freddy's 6 Minnesota locations.
I've been meaning to give you these for many years. I think they're perfect.
Maya?
Oh, I love your earring. Why didn't you try these?
It isn't just about vision, it's about care. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
10,000 Takes rolls along, and so do your Minnesota Lynx. Without Nafisia Collier, the leading candidate to be the MVP in the WNBA before she got hurt. And of course, there's some consternation whether she should have been playing in a game where they're up by 43 points. That's neither here nor there. They're winning without her.
Yeah, the Lynx are a juggernaut. I mean, clearly the top team in the WNBA. They battered the New York Liberty the other day in Brooklyn. They get them again Saturday and then on Tuesday. So it goes Brooklyn, Minneapolis, Brooklyn. They're not exactly saving jet fuel in the WNBA,
No.
are they, with that schedule
I guess not.
alignment? But give them credit. The newcomer, Dejanay Carrington, came up large in that win over the Liberty. Kayla McBride has been very good.
Yes.
You never want to see an MVP go down, but it does give Cheryl a little more wiggle room to see just how much depth you have and can other players step up. And clearly they can. And the Lynx have to be your favorite to win the WNBA title.
Do you have any plans right now for Christmas? Do you know where you're going to be on Christmas Day?
Well, I may be at the House of Noise.
Really?
Yeah, the Minnesota Vikings host Detroit. I might have a work assignment. So
okay,
yeah.
Well, that having been said, rumor has it that your Timberwolves are also playing on Christmas Day. So not only does the NBA want to catch your attention, but the NFL, of course, now going to play on Christmas every year because Netflix is going to write them a check. Are you okay with this? The NBA and the NFL? I always thought it was kind of the NBA's day. And if it happened on a Sunday or a Monday or a Saturday, that's fine. The NFL is going to run their games, but we got to chase the NFL games all over the calendar. Is that necessary?
I don't like it. I think you laid it out very well. If Christmas is on a Saturday, Sunday, or Monday, I'm okay with seeing the NFL. They played games on a Wednesday last year, middle of the week. It was an unbelievably grueling schedule for the teams involved. I believe it was Baltimore, Kansas City, Houston, and Pittsburgh. They had short weeks. But, of course, Netflix paid the NFL $75 million per game. These are streamed games, too, by the way. So that's now the new model. They're going to play on Christmas. They big-footed the NBA last year. They're going to do it again. They're going to get better ratings than the association. That's a fact. And, even LeBron said it last year. Remember when the Lakers played Golden State? He says, hey, I love the NFL, but the NBA is supposed to be the game on Christmas. Well, the NFL doesn't care because they can put more money in their vault.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And I watched the NBA. They ran over the air on ABC all day. They ran from like 11 a.m.
And the Timberwolves are the nightcap.
They
are in Colorado, against Denver.
So they'll be like the 8 or 9
You'll
o'clock
be up
start.
real late.
Oh, I'll be watching that. Are
you going to be in downtown Minneapolis?
No, man. I am not going to spend Christmas Day at the House of Noise getting my ears blown out.
You get a Christmas meal and everything. The Vikings might give you a gift at your press seat.
No, I get a Christmas meal at home. My wife Dawn cooks up a pretty good Christmas Day meal.
All right.
I am not too concerned about what Ziggy's going to give me. I'll get plenty of Ziggy food.
The purple sheep will flock to the building. That's my prediction.
They will,
especially against Detroit.
Well, for a lot of them, it's a drinking-a-thon. So
true,
and so Christmas Day. This is a double excuse to drink now.
Yeah,
they'll be tipping a few on Christmas Day down at U.S. Bank.
No day is sacred. I'm really shocked the NFL hasn't started, before Labor Day weekend now or on Labor Day weekend. What do they care? Yeah, that's got to be coming. And when are they going to have their draft or their schedule release on Easter Sunday? You might as well take over Easter, NFL. I mean, you've done everything else. Don't pretend you care about any of these religious holidays because you don't.
Yeah. No, they could not care less. They're going to Bigfoot whatever is in their way. And so the NFL is coming to Minneapolis.
Sasquatch is
on
here.
Christmas Day, and it's the Lions too, isn't that what you're saying?
It is the Lions, so I mean, who knows how much meaning the game has, but I would guess it will have some.
Probably so. All right, when we come back, you know what's coming. Takes of the day. We'll have that for you after this final timeout. Stay with us.
Seeing clearly matters. Being seen matters more. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
K takes on television as we wrap up yet another episode. Before we go, takes of the day, and of course a huge shout out to the viewers in the Twin Ports and here in the Twin Cities. You're big up and down I-35. They wait to hear what your take is. Are you angry, sarcastic, cranky, dare I say it, happy this week?
Okay, well, you're going to find out. Before I get too deep into it, I wanted to mention that the initial AP college football poll is out, and your Gophers got 0 votes to be in the top 25, and they only are playing right now, as of right now, they only have 2 top 25 teams on their schedule. So chances of them leaping into the top 25 are going to depend heavily on beating Ohio State.
Yeah.
Ooh,
perfection.
And Oregon?
They might need perfection.
Boy, I don't know.
Those are both road games, too.
Yeah, that's going to be tough. All right. Well, I'll stay on the subject of football here. And as you know, your Minnesota Vikings opened the preseason with a victory. And I think you mentioned to me, I didn't see this, but the post-game show after the television event of that preseason game against Houston went an hour or so, and a lot of kudos to the Vikings. They looked like potential Super Bowl champions with the way they played and the way they were fawned over on television after that game. Well, I'm going to ask you this. Have you ever watched the TV show Gilligan's Island?
Saw a couple of episodes last week.
You've seen a couple of episodes. Well, welcome to Gilligan's Island is what I say to you Viking fans out there. We know how this is going to end. The Minnesota Vikings have never won a Super Bowl. It's the same thing. They will never get off of Super Bowl-less island, as the case is. So, yes, Gilligan and the professor and the movie star and the rest of them never made it off the island. Mr. Howell, by the way, who's now your second-string quarterback, never made it off the island. So let's see if Gilligan's Island is another repeat this year for your Minnesota Vikings. And by the way, they've been in repeats now for about 60 years.
Yeah, well, let's see what the mood meter says. Yes, indeed, sarcastic Sam. He's throwing shade all over the Purple Nation, and we haven't even started the regular season. Wow. Okay, well, if you watch that opener against Houston and then that very long marathon post-game show, you know that the MLB Game of the Week on Fox on Saturday night was joined in progress in the Twin Cities market. Right. But I did watch some of it. Cubs, Cardinals, Chicago dominated, and it was a good thing it was a blowout because John Smoltz finally got away from analyzing every pitch thrown in the game, and he started telling stories, and he did a good job. John, do more of that. But the real hero was this guy, Bradley Vincent. He is a 13-year-old. His father brought him to the game in St. Louis from Florida. He dreams of being an MLB ump, and they kept showing him during the telecast. He called every pitch. He's got the pitch counter. As you can see, he's got all the gear. He's got the MLB logo. If the ball went foul, he was doing this. Bradley Vincent was auditioning for an MLB umpiring gig, and let me tell you, I think he's going to make it. And he also said he's willing to pay his dues. He will start at the youth level and work his way up. But you know what? I think he's got a leg up on everybody right now. So Bradley Vincent, you're out. Or in this case, you'll be in.
Yeah, and he sat right behind home plate.
He did.
Oh, boy. All right.
All right, we got to go. Thanks for tuning in. This is 10K Takes Your Sports Ticket.